All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hot Takes Buffalo, episode 1 of the podcast. Mike, we got Justin
What's up?
and Colin,
How's it going, boys?
three guys that love sports, and we're going to talk a little bit today. Start off with a preview of the Bills versus Chiefs AFC Championship. We'll talk a little about the Packers and Buccaneers NFC Championship game. Move into a little bit about what the Houston Texans are going to do with Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt at head coach. Then maybe end with a couple hot takes for football. So
I mean, that's our name. Why wouldn't we have hot takes?
All right. You look at Bills Chiefs, already faced once. Obviously, with the Bills being, our hometown team, I don't want to throw out excuses, but Allen was hurt. Didn't have a fully healthy Tremaine Edmonds either. No Milano, no Levi Wallace. So the second corner was Josh Norman. And if I'm right, that was his first game or his second game of the season.
Talking Josh Norman?
Yeah, Josh Norman.
Oh, dude, you remember the week before he got stiff-armed to
Yeah.
Okay,
Can't forget that
okay, so,
meme.
okay,
to
so
a different country by Derrick Henry.
okay, so second week, coming off that
It was
coming off that hamstring injury.
So according to the internet, it was his third week, second starting.
Okay, well, you know what?
He
I was
played,
close.
He played some snaps and I guess he played some snaps against the Raiders.
Oh,
dude,
yeah,
forced
I was gonna
fumble,
say,
Darren Waller.
yeah. He had that
Once,
peanut punch on Waller.
Yeah, once Trey got hurt, it seems like he came in big
Okay, so
and then missed 6
I guess
weeks after
adding
getting
on
stiff
to
arm.
the excuses here, weather was not in either team's favor. Just so happened to be in the Chiefs. It benefited the Chiefs more based off their running game. But let's focus on Mahomes here first. 21 to 26, 225, and 2 TDs. And then he added on 10 rushes for 36 yards. Obviously not the Mahomes game, 350-plus yards, 4 touchdowns. But when you have your running back averaging 6.2 yards per carry, I mean, you're not really expected to do much, am I right?
Yeah.
Let's see, more advanced stats into that. So Mahomes threw about 6.5 yards per attempt. I'm sure we all watch Chiefs games. NFL loves them. That's at least to me that seems pretty low for Mahomes. He did complete 80% of his passes. Was pressured by the Buffalo defensive line, which I found shocking after rewatching that. But what really killed the Bills' defense was he was able to extend the plays outside the pocket. Then you go to the rookie running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 26 carries, 161 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, as I mentioned before. Now, the stat that blows me away, that makes me a little worried as a Bills fan going into this week, is out of 161 of those yards, 94 of those yards came after contact. So,
But here's the question: is he going to be 100% healthy this week?
Probably not. But, I mean, it's the Bills. Can they tackle? That's the real question.
Yeah. I mean, after watching the past games against Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines and Lamar and the rest of the Ravens backs, I mean, that seems like a big issue is that the Bills never get that first tackle.
Yeah, I mean,
late in the game, it seems like they do a little bit more, but
multiple times. I could pull up clip after clip of it hits behind the line of scrimmage that should have been 2 or 3 yard losses on Dobbins and Edwards, and then they end up gaining 1 or 2 yards off that. I mean, I don't know. You got to focus on that. But going over those stats, what shocked me is Demarcus Robinson was the Chiefs' leading receiver with 69 yards.
Nice.
Granted, he was covered by Josh Norman for the entire game.
I'm pretty sure we had a game plan of taking out Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, though.
Well, the Tyreek Hill game plan worked.
Hill was very much taken out.
Tyreek Hill had 3 catches for 20 yards, but Travis Kelce had 5 catches, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I think that's what's going to be big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, there was no Milano.
I was just trying to say that. I forgot. I think you forgot to mention him earlier.
Yeah,
when you were
We
mentioning
didn't
the
have
Bills injury,
Levi
we did not have
or
Milano.
Milano for that game.
And Andy Reid specifically talked about Matt Milano in one of his press conferences this week.
What are you gonna say, Mike?
What I think is going to be big, and you bring that up, is I think this time around the Chiefs. I mean, it's going to be on how well Mahomes plays too with his head injury. But
That's
I think
if Mahomes plays.
looking at this game,
and his toe
very
injury.
true.
Yes.
That's very true.
Mike, are you assuming that Mahomes is gonna play?
I'm assuming the NFL is going to do everything in their power to get him in the game. But
I agree.
my thing is, if I'm looking at this game, the two biggest threats, on the Chiefs offense are going to be Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. In this game, you've got Tremaine Edmonds back to his, Pro Bowl self. You've got Trey White fully healed up. You've got Taron Johnson, who's emerging as a top slot corner. You've got Matt Milano back. And I see those two getting taken out by that force right there. I think this is going to be big on, can those other weapons on the Chiefs really step up? Because I think Kelce
not to mention who's having a very underrated playoff is Levi Wallace, and you guys know I've been very critical of him this entire season. Outside of a couple catches of Michael Pittman, I mean, I can't really think off the top of my head of a play in this playoffs where he got absolutely roasted.
And he's been, even towards the end of the season, he had that big pick in the Pittsburgh game, an unreal pick.
So
he's had a couple good towards the end against the Dolphins.
Let's assume Sammy Watkins plays, because from what I've been reading, he's been practicing. Should be good. You gotta assume Trey's shadowing Tyreek Hill with safety help, right? So then that leaves Levi on either Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins. Not afraid of Sammy Watkins whatsoever.
No.
He already had his
one.
He already had his one big game of the year. And then you got to rely on Taron Johnson to either lock up whichever one Levi Wallace is not doing. And when healthy, Taron Johnson, man, that man's a force on the Bills defense.
I think.
Do you have Milano on Kelce?
I think you got to. I mean, he's the Bills' best coverage linebacker, but does he have the speed like Edmonds to keep up with Kelce if he's running a drag route?
For Edmonds too is Edmonds got a little bit more size on him. I think he could kind of disrupt a few big hits on Kelce as well. I think you might look at like maybe a 50-50 snap on Kelce. The other one could watch the spot.
I agree with that. Now, how do the Bills play defense here? Do they mainly run zone? Or
I think you got to run.
I mean, you can't run man unless you have coverage.
If you're running man, you gotta double Tyreek Hill.
I think it also is going to depend on where Tyreek Hill lines up. Because if he's taking those quick routes like we saw at the end of the the game winner against the Browns, I think you got Johnson on him right there. Maybe you got your linebacker coming in back. But if he's playing deep, you got White. I think if I'm the Bills and I'm Leslie Frazier this game, I think I'm going my normal game plan for like the first quarter so I can see how they start to adjust on the field. Because if they're playing a lot of quick routes, I'm jumping to man. If they're playing like they did the other day, I think that's what killed the Browns at the end of the game is they weren't playing man. They were very much playing zone, and they were getting exploited.
See, now if you look at the Chiefs, their big play, which was very evident against Tyreek Hill's massive performance against the Bucs, I think it's trips on the left side, Kelce's in the slot, and then Tyreek Hill's on the outside. And Kelce runs kind of like a shallow drag, I think like within 5 to 10 yards. And then Mahomes will either read off of what that linebacker / safety does, and then Tyreek Hill just blows right by that, second level, third level of the defense. I mean, you defend against that. You keep the Chiefs moderate gains, 3-4 yards. Hope your defense can get some pressure on Mahomes, especially with that toe. You don't know how much his mobility is gonna, affect them. Yeah, but the Chiefs defense in that Week 6 game, no sacks, which I found shocking. But the pressure on Allen, it was about 50% of his dropbacks. He was pressured. Whether he was hit or not, I mean, that's still going to affect a quarterback. I don't care how good you are in this league. Daniel Sorensen had the lone interception of the game. I hate that, man. And yeah, they just shut down the Bills' explosive offense coming into it. So, I mean, other than what we discussed about, you guys have anything else to add about the Chiefs coming into this game, or
the only thing I'd say is
the
big
Week
X
6
factor,
performance?
Besides Mahomes, the big X factor I'm looking at right now is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because they've been saying he might be coming back for a couple of weeks and he hasn't. They might be trying to rush him. I think that's a big one as well.
Yeah, how
Mahomes
healthy
is gonna be big,
is Helaire? Because they're not
Even
going to
if they
have
start
Bell.
him, I don't think he's
They're
gonna
not
be
going to
as
have
big as
Bell
last time.
So
No.
They're not going to have Bell?
Yeah, I don't think he's practiced this week.
Really?
I don't
Yeah.
think he is.
I was just
think
about to
he's
say
good.
I'm not really worried about him, but I didn't know he wasn't practicing.
Both
Even
him and
Williams,
Willie Gay
he's
hasn't practiced. I know Willie Gay
And I mean,
is the
Willie
biggest
Gay isn't
name,
that
but
important. Yeah.
it's the
And the
playoffs.
thing
I
with
mean, a player like
Williams-
Willie Gay could be huge.
Yeah, and I mean, you got Williams, and he's been a good back in big games, but I'm not as worried.
Yeah,
Yes, the Bills have
I
had
agree.
some trouble stopping the run, but they've also stopped the run when it mattered.
I agree.
So that's big for me. It's going to be if Mahomes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire play, how healthy are they going to be? And even if they're at 75%, I think that's a good sign. Yeah, it means that they got their best chance, but I think it's also a good sign for the Bills because they're not. As a neutral fan, I would look at this game and I'd say, well, the Bills really don't ever overestimate a team. They're very good about being grounded and working themselves up in the game.
Yep.
And I think that's very good for them if we have this full force.
Yep.
And,
I agree.
You talked about defense. What I find interesting when you mentioned there's no sacks, I think that's going to stay. Yes, there was a lot of pressure, but let's look at what's happened. You have John Feliciano come back after this game,
That was another person that
fantastic for the win.
we forgot to mention. There was no Feliciano, and then another big player that has almost seen like a career resurgence is Darrell Williams.
Yep. I think not just those two as well, but you saw Mitch Morse really improve towards the end of the season, dealing with his injury stuff in the beginning. You've really kind of seen our backups lock down their performance. You might still have pressure, but I think our line, the Bills line has really improved to the point where I don't think the pressure is really going to get to Allen that much.
Agreed.
And without his injury, I think he's going to do very well.
I don't think Allen had that poor of a performance week 6, though.
We'll get into it.
Making very good plays.
We'll get into it. I have the stats here. What seems to be the Bills' Achilles heel is elite defensive tackles, and you saw that with Chris Jones in week 6. Most recent, you saw that with DeForest Buckner in the wild card.
Cam Hayward is another one I'd mention.
Cam Hayward was disruptive.
He had a good adjustment in the second half.
Yes. Second half, they finally adjusted for it, but
Even thinking back earlier in the season, you had Aaron Donald was doing a lot against the line.
It's Aaron Donald. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really that pressure. While I think it's going to be limited compared to week 6, Chris Jones has to be limited. If he has another performance like he did week 6, Allen's going to be running for his life again. So, but let's focus our attention to the Bills' performance week 6 and then what has changed. Allen in that game, 14 of 27, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Also added 42 yards in the ground on 8 attempts. He averaged 4.5 yards per attempt, which was his second lowest all season. Lowest was 4.4 yards against the Titans. 13 pressure dropbacks, and what's shocking is we all know how good Allen is against the blitz and pressure. Number 1 ranked quarterback, I believe, out of the playoff quarterbacks. He only completed 3 of those passes for 22 yards.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't know how much that left shoulder came into play. Don't know how much the rain came into play. I've never played quarterback.
I think the weather has a bigger impact than people think, because that day Mahomes was making some overthrows too. Obviously, he hit more than Allen did that day,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
think it had a bigger impact than
I mean,
what people would like to admit, I guess.
what didn't help Allen was he never had that clean pocket to really get into a rhythm. You know, I mean, we saw against the Ravens. I mean, he was making plays in really bad wind. You know, granted, it wasn't his best statistical game, but when he got into a rhythm, I mean, that offense is virtually unstoppable. What needs to happen?
I think with
No, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say with Allen, I think outside that there's one other thing that doesn't get mentioned in that game, and it's that Allen really was. I mean, obviously the Bills, getting the record this year for most touchdowns to players. I think something that never gets brought up with that game is the fact that Dawson Knox was out, and John Brown was dealing with injuries. I think that's a big thing that we don't look at that.
Austin
John
Knox
Brown-
was out?
Bills right now.
John Brown did have
Dawson Knox didn't play.
Oh, was that when he had his concussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I
John
think
Brown
that's
was
I know
held
he
to
had-
zero
I know he
catches,
had
0
COVID.
yards.
I know he
Yeah.
had COVID the week after, but I think that was towards the end when his concussion was when he finally got through
was
that,
his
and then
concussion week.
he got hit with that.
And I think that's a big thing that, Dawson Knox, not always, the most reliable set of hands, but he also does have those big plays. I can't think of exactly when it was in the game this past weekend, but I recall there was a play where Allen kind of scrambled, hit Knox perfectly for a big gain, and it was one of those like play, completely just falls apart. Knox is open, he makes that big catch and goes. John Brown does a lot of that too.
I was gonna say if it's, lately teams have been trying to defend Diggs when Allen gets out of the pocket, and it seems like it's Knox majority of the times, like 9 times out of 10, it's Knox 5-10 yards down the field on the sideline. Or Allen hitting some crossbody to Knox sitting wide open in the middle of the field.
And I think on that too, another guy who's been covered a lot, I've noticed in the past couple weeks, has been Cole Beasley, who really was our go-to.
He's been dealing with a very messed up knee.
He has, but I think he's been targeted a lot less, and I think now it's because you have John Brown, you have Isaiah McKenzie, you have Dawson Knox, you have Gabriel Davis, you have these other guys, and I think having Brown is going to be big. That if Kansas City tries to stop, they're not going to stop Diggs, but if they try to stop Beasley, Brown can jump in. If they try to stop Brown, Beasley can jump back, Davis could jump, Knox could jump, and I think it's similar to the Chiefs, where you have all these.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
I think it's the Chiefs and the Bills have a similar game plan where you just overload with weapons. The Bucs do the same thing too. You overload with weapons and hope that one of the options is not enough to stop.
I think that this is the week we see Kenny Stills, especially if because Gabriel Davis was out today at practice. I think this will be the week they bring him in.
Kenny Stills could have it very, very clearly.
Like you said, overload them with weapons, and he's just another one. Like when we signed him, he's not your average free agent wide receiver you just pick up, put on the practice squad.
I mean, to throw that point too, I think Devonta Freeman could be another player that gets called up this week.
Freeman, I believe, is a protected practice squad player for this week.
I believe Stills is as well, but he has been the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I could see both of those guys being called up just because, Devin Singletary not always taking the run game, but if you get a couple good plays, he made a couple really good, runs towards the end of the game. I think, if you want to establish that run game at all, Freeman would be a very good one. Third down, punch it in. Give Singletary a rest.
Mike, back to that Cole Beasley point. He came into that Colts game obviously injured, very noticeable limp. Still had 7 catches for 57 yards against the Colts. Let's bring up Ravens Bills. At least what I noticed is Marlon Humphrey played slot more than outside.
Yeah, he was on Gabriel Davis a lot for those big throws that got overthrown. I noticed he was on Davis a lot, which I thought it was very interesting.
Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis both held to no catches, no yards. Marlon Humphrey, mainly the slot guy. Diggs, obviously, is doing his dig stuff. John Brown, very good role player. 8 catches, 62 yards. But yeah, I could expect some pretty big things from Cole Beasley, unless they for some reason have Tyrann Mathieu on him in the slot. I could see another one of Cole Beasley's 11 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown against the Chiefs. All right. So one thing that's been what?
Should we go on to some game picks?
Yeah, hang on. I got one more thing to talk about the Bills.
I got one more point I'd like to bring up.
Week 6. Singletary and Moss combined for 15 carries for 42 yards. That is, if my math is correct, under 3 yards a carry. I guess a pretty, average to average Chiefs defense? I mean, can Allen air it out with the best of them this year? Absolutely. Can he outduel Mahomes? Absolutely. But when you come down to, let's say we need crunch time, Bills are up 31-28. You got 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Chiefs got all 3 timeouts. You need two first downs. How confident are you in throwing the ball and potentially getting an incompletion? You need to hammer the ball down the other team's throats in that situation. And I don't think the Bills have that running back yet.
You have those numbers still?
For what?
Our running game that week.
Yeah, it was 15 carries, 42 yards for Singletary and Moss. And then Allen added on 8 rushes for 42 yards.
I'm looking at what I think is a good comparison. You look at I believe it was 2 weeks prior, you had the Ravens and the Chiefs go off. And the Ravens' top run attack, Gus Edwards had 4 for 39, Mark Ingram had 7 for 30, Dobbins had 1 for 6, and Jackson had 9 for 83. Obviously, that's a little bit better, but the Chiefs' runs defense isn't always a joke. And I think you look at last week with the Bills' run defense and how they limited them. I think there's a good sign if I'm looking. Yes, our run game isn't that strong, but I think you could see a decent exposure from the run game, because you do have those games where sometimes they'll get, they don't get those touches, but they do burst. So I agree that I think we have some problems with the run game, but I think Devin Singletary could, last year he showed great potential. Obviously we want to have Moss, but he's showing some flashes, and I think obviously we're not going to run as much, but if you have some bad weather, maybe, you want to be a little bit conservative sometimes.
Yep.
I think you could see a little bit of a takeoff. And I think the Chiefs' run defense is a lot better than people, might give it credit. But I do see potential for those explosive plays. Even if, let's say Devin Singletary goes, 8 rushes for 40 yards, and he gets that big 20-yard one that gets you, a touchdown from that drive. I think that's where his value is.
8 rushes, 40 yards. I will take that out of a very subpar run game for the Bills all year. I mean, it'll be 5 yards per carry. You gotta imagine Allen's gonna add on to that himself, especially if there's just a little bit of rain. But I think it's time we move on to picking this game. Colin, who do you got? And score.
And score. All right, I think I'm going with the Bills here. I think I know we've been a little critical of Dable this playoff run, but I think he's going to bring out one of those trick plays this week. Get us a little free score.
The classics. All right. Let's place our bets now. Who's throwing Josh Allen the ball?
I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs, man. I don't think they'll be expecting it.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm about to blow your mind here. It's going to be 1st and goal on the 2. Dawkins is going to report eligible. Going to put him in motion. It's going to be like a jet sweep thing. Allen runs out, catches the pass from Deion Dawkins.
All right, that's absolutely not going to happen. I'm going out of my score.
You want a really hot take, boys?
No.
No.
I think the Bills pull this out. 35-31.
35-31. All right, Mike, what about you?
So I'm gonna do a little bit of an interesting one. I think there's two games that are gonna happen. You have your Mahomes game and your non-Mahomes game.
Okay.
I think the Bills are gonna take it no matter what, but I think the score is very much gonna depend on who's playing.
Okay.
So
Well,
if
yes.
I'm going Mahomes, I'm gonna throw you with 28-27.
Wow. Very. I'd
Bills.
consider that low scoring. Okay.
If
So
there's
now
no
without
Mahomes, I'm gonna say 35-17 Bills.
Okay.
You
it's low
think
scoring, but
Kansas City's only putting up 17?
without Mahomes, I mean they
Oh.
put up 22 with or they put up how many points with Chad Henne last week?
I don't think they
Were
put
ye,
up
I
very
think?
much.
I don't think they put up any with Chad Henne
I
at
actually don't
quarterback.
think they put up any.
He threw that pick. He threw that interception in the end zone.
I mean, and
then-
I find it interesting too. You said high. It won't be that high scoring, but the Bills really haven't been high scoring this playoff run.
Like,
Yes, last week a lot
that's
of
a
it was
completely
limited
different topic. I mean, you got to look at the defenses that they played.
Oh no, and I'm aware of that, but I'm saying I don't think we're gonna have like some people are thinking we're gonna have 40-point games. That I think this is gonna be a very much your 20-point, maybe a 30 correct kind of game where it's a lot. Maybe it's one of those games where you have 700 total yards in the game, but less scores because it's you get close, you get stopped, you might settle for a field goal.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that kind of real push and tug kind of game. But
now the way I look at this is I am getting flashbacks of that historical Chiefs-Rams primetime game, one of the highest scoring games in NFL history. That's the line I'm going down. Shootout between Mahomes and Allen. This game's going to be the start of one of the best quarterback rivalries. Who do I have, man? I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to bet against Mahomes, but I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he'll be close to 100%. I got to go Bills 41, Chiefs 38. That's final prediction. So that is a Bills sweep. Might be a little biased.
It's very biased.
is it too late to change my vote to 2-0 Bills?
No.
0-point game except a safety.
Safety and
overtime
and
safety.
Triple overtime.
The
Alrighty.
greatest game.
So now we go into the complete opposite. We go into two quarterbacks, 25 and under. Now we go into some of the two oldest quarterbacks in the league.
Pissed
Rodgers,
off Aaron
Brady.
Rodgers.
NFC Championship at Lambeau, first time in Rodgers' career. How crazy is that? That's absolutely wild. Week 6,
I think in
man.
the easier conference, he'd have done that before.
Week 6, Bucks dominated the Packers, 38-10.
That's pretty crazy. That was actually isn't that the same week the Bills and Chiefs played?
Yep.
It is the
Yep.
same Chief. It
Wow.
is the same
Yes,
week.
it is. Packers coming off of a bye week, too, just to get romped by the Bucks.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers looked back after that week though.
No, Aaron Rodgers was putrid. Yeah, people think Allen was bad against that Chiefs. Rodgers put up even more of a stinker. 16 for 35, 160 yards, 2 picks.
That might be the worst single quarterback performance this season.
I don't know about that.
For his talent, I would say that's the worst
I can
performance.
agree with you, but he was under more duress than Allen was. He got sacked 6 times, pressured more than Allen was. His run game was there. Jamal Williams averaging 8.5 yards a carry. A.J. Dillon, 6.2 yards a carry.
Yeah, I believe Aaron Jones was out for that game.
Aaron Jones actually had 10 carries, leading the backfield with only 15
score
yards
as well.
and a touchdown.
Yeah,
Was
he
that
scored
his
that
last
first
week?
touchdown.
Was that when he got hurt then? Because I believe
It
was
was
the middle of the
probably
season
when he got hurt.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. Look it up.
Devontae Adams, for Devontae Adams' season, kind of locked down. 6 catches, 61 yards, no touchdowns.
You would be right. That was the game he was injured. Left that game and didn't play till week 9.
Remember that.
You know, Bucks did a very good job of shutting down Robert Tonyan. 3 catches, 25 yards. MVS, nothing, because it's MVS. He's not going to do anything.
He's going to miss a catch is what he's going to do.
Absolutely. I'm surprised there's no Alan Lazard. I'm sure he's probably hurt.
I believe he was hurt most of the year.
Yeah. Packers just look. I don't know how to describe it. Packers look like Ohio State against Alabama.
In all honesty, Brady didn't have that great of a game either.
Oh, he didn't.
You're right. You're right. It was very, very similar to Allen, believe it or not. 40 more yards. Allen was 14 of 27. Brady 17 of 27. Allen 122 yards. Brady 166 yards. Both had 2 touchdowns. Allen had 1 pick.
Can't
to
forget
Brady's
those rush yards,
0.
though, too.
Believe it or not, what sparked that Buccaneers offense was Ronald Jones, 23 carries, 113 yards. We'll round up 5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns.
Let's not also forget rookie Keyshawn Vaughn in there, 5 attempts, 42 yards.
Yeah, and then you can't also
no Leonard Fournette either.
Can't forget about the
3 carries for 2 yards by Blaine Gabbert.
Dean had a pick 6.
Yeah, that he did. Bucks had sacks. Devin White, Levante David, JPP, and Ndamukong Suh. Picks from Jamal Dean, like you mentioned, and then Mike Edwards. Ryan Suckup hit his only field goal of the game. Gronk, pretty good game for Gronk Sanders this year. 5 catches, 78 yards, and a TD. However, Jair Alexander absolutely eliminated Mike Evans that game. 1 catch, 10 yards. So, Jair Alexander, top 3 corner.
No, I was just about to say early hot take. Jair Alexander better than Jalen Ramsey.
Oh man,
I think he's the only corner to have to allow negative yards in a playoff game in history.
Yeah,
he had one. He only gave up 1 catch for negative 3 yards last week against the Rams.
Man, that's.
Are we talking this season? Or are we saying
that is a hot take, and I am willing to agree with that one. That Jair Alexander is the best corner in the NFL right now.
I'll send you one better. Hot take: Jair Alexander is overrated.
Yeah, okay. That's.
Let me tell you.
That is a context for a different episode, Michael. Do we really think that Rodgers is going to put up a stinker again at home for the first time for the championship
here's what
game?
You got to remember. It's an NFC championship. Aaron Rodgers does not show up for an NFC championship.
Colin, what are your opinions on this?
I think last year the Packers were kind of a fraudulent team. And I mean, that's kind of why the 49ers just ran all over them. But this year I think it's different. I think we got pissed off Aaron Rodgers. I think he's been on a tear this year.
Can we talk about how genius that was to draft Jordan Love to piss off Aaron Rodgers? If that was the motive.
Yeah.
Think about it. That is genius.
Here's where I'm going to get on my soapbox about Aaron Rodgers, though. Conference championship history, not just did the 49ers run them over. 2016, before the choke of the century with the Falcons, 44-21, Packers lose. The last conference championship before that was the Seahawks in overtime, 28-22. Not as bad.
I remember that one. That one was crazy.
You look at the numbers in these games. That game, Rodgers, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks against the Seahawks. You look at 49ers. Rodgers went 326, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Against the Falcons, he went against the Falcons, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Probably his best game. And it's been the narrative for a while. Aaron Rodgers chokes in the NFC Championship.
I'm sorry.
Against
What were
the team he's done it
those?
before.
What were those years again? Was one of them 2014?
Yes, I believe. Yes, it was when the Seahawks won in overtime.
It was when Rodgers won his second MVP.
Yes, that would have been his year's second MVP.
Okay.
I think, yes, you could have Aaron Rodgers' revenge tour show up, but historically he hasn't done well in championships since his Super Bowl berth. Yes, we saw Brady flip the script last week, but this is also a very good Tampa Bay defense. And the offense is there.
It's also Tom Brady in a championship game. I don't care if it's AFC, NFC, WFC, whatever the hell you want to call it. Tom Brady in championship games.
Yep.
You know.
And I think, we talked about week 6 a little bit. The big thing too, that game, you're missing Leonard Fournette, who's been phenomenal the past end of the season.
Playoff Lenny, baby.
You don't have Antonio Brown, who's been shockingly good.
See,
for his comeback.
You say shockingly, I'm not that shocked.
Oh, his talent was always there. But if you would have said after the end of last season, how his career we thought ended after last season, I didn't think he would come back like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's from you're adding 2 very good weapons. Yes, the Packers also have most of theirs at full strength, but those offenses are comparable. And if I'm looking at this from worst case scenario for the Packers, that offense could run you off the field. And if your offense doesn't get started, that was the problem week 6 is their offense got hot and then just tanked. And they couldn't, once they started dropping, they just could never catch up. And in that situation, who knows? I think if you start to see that again, you might see Tom Brady go into another Super Bowl.
So, as Bills fans, if we win, who do we want in the Super Bowl? Colin, you first.
Either of them. I don't want either of them. But we don't really have a choice, do we?
Have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, I would go. I mean, it'd be upsetting to lose to Brady and the Bucs, but I feel like we match up better against them, even with the other weapons, because week by week they're just a different team. You don't know what you're getting with them. One week they could put up a stinker like they did against the Saints, whatever week that was, and then the next week they go on and dominate, and another week they lose to the Bears. You don't know what you're getting with the Bucs, and I think the Bills match up really well against them. I think if we face the Packers, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams could have a big day against us, even though we did stop the run against the Ravens. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if we have. I mean, Trey White's great, but do you think he can guard one-on-one Devontae Adams all game?
I don't think anyone is capable of guarding Devontae Adams all game.
And I think an interesting comparison you make there. Look at what the Packers have done this season. Playing the Rams. Only other team that did well against the Rams this season, the Buffalo Bills. Playing against the Titans. One of the best defense or one of the best offenses in the league. Completely shut them down. I think that lends a very good point to your point, Colin, that this Packers team is very legit. And I would not want to face them if I was the Buffalo Bills.
Ideally, in my eyes, Packers defense is significantly worse than the Bucs defense. If only there was a way to combine or to have the Packers defense with the Buccaneers offense.
I agree with that, but I also feel like the second half of the season, the Buccaneers defense is a little more shaky compared to the first.
That is very true.
They don't have a good outside corner, and I don't think that anybody you could keep up with Diggs. Like I don't think Murphy Bunting or any of those guys would be able to keep up.
I agree. A big get though for that Bucs defense is Vita Vea, and I believe he's coming back for this championship game.
I believe he was.
Tell you right now, look up the injury report.
I think he was not activated, but he was
Mm-hmm.
the 3-week.
So here is the updated injury report as of today. For the Bucks, Antonio Brown did not participate. Mike Evans was limited. Chris
What was
Godwin
that injury on
Ronald
Brown?
Jones was limited. Knee.
Interesting.
He left injured the last game. Ali Marpet was full. Sean Murphy Bunting, limited participant. JPP, not participant. Antonio Winfield, full participant now. Jordan Whitehead, limited. The Packers, Mason Crosby, limited. AJ Dillon, limited. Alan Lazard, limited. Mercedes Lewis, not participated. Zadarius Smith, limited. Jamal Williams, limited.
Interesting.
So,
Both teams
that
have
might change
some
it,
pretty
but-
big players with limited.
But like you said,
limited
there's
status.
no one on the line for either team, other than Zadarius coming out of the linebacker spot. But that's
I
a very
thought I-
healthy defense.
I thought I saw something about Villa coming back.
I think he had. I don't think he was officially activated. He did. I forgot what
Let's
the
see.
name for it,
Bruce
but they
Arians
have.
says Vita Vea is looking very good.
Wasn't he? I think maybe it wasn't him, but someone
And
was
you got that
designated
Pro
to
Bowl week.
practice, and then they have 21 days to activate him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You got that Pro Bowl week. I mean, to answer your question too, yes, well, as a Bills fan, who would I want to face? Give me Tom Brady. For one simple reason, this is the Bills' revenge tour this season.
I don't know how
You
it's
got-
a revenge tour.
So you got Josh Allen proving everyone wrong, completely tears up the league. You've got career years for guys like Diggs, when everyone called him a diva who wouldn't play well. You got guys like Cole Beasley making All-Pro, having career years. You've got a lot of guys on defense, Norman, Johnson, Addison, these guys kind of having career bounce backs.
I wouldn't say Norman's having a career bounce back.
I don't think
No,
Addison
you're right,
did that much
but-
either.
Addison started off
Addison's had a
very
good
hot
career.
and has cooled down significantly.
Sure. You get my point. It's been very good for us. Jordan Poyer, proving everyone wrong.
Underrated,
People said
most
he wasn't-
underrated safety in the league.
Absolutely. But you look at what they've done this year. You've got Miami, we're going to make the playoffs. Bills torched them all year. A third of their touchdowns are to Josh Allen. You've got playoffs. The first thing is, can the Bills even win a playoff game? You beat the Colts. Then it's, Lamar Jackson's going to run all over you. They smash the Ravens. Let's say they beat the Chiefs. It's a whole crap. He just knocked off Mahomes, probably the other best quarterback in the AFC. Give us Tom Brady, the guy who's owned Buffalo for 20 years. If the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, have it be the one man who's just ruined Bills fans' hopes for decades. Yes, that's going to taste sweet holding that Lombardi, but watching Tom Brady cry on the bench, that's going to be sweeter. Give me that.
I don't know if he'd cry.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I'd cry.
defeated everyone will be when if we lose
Yeah,
to Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword facing Tom Brady in the
It
Super
is.
Bowl.
But listen, if the Bills are going to lose another Super Bowl, it's going to happen and it's going to suck no matter what. So,
Yeah. All right, let's get to picks for this game.
Colin, go first.
I'm going Packers. I don't think anything's stopping Aaron Rodgers right now. I think he wants
Any
that-
score
he wants
prediction?
He wants that second Super Bowl. Go with 28-17 Packers
Okay, Mike.
for the championship.
all right, I'm going for a dominant Bucks victory, 38-17.
Very similar to Week 6. I'm going to get on that Packers train. 24-13 Packers.
Scoring.
Yeah. I don't really know what the
Yeah,
weather's supposed to be like in Green Bay, but
Never supposed to be good in Green
Probably
Bay.
cold and snowy.
probably cold and snowy. Damn right. All right. Well, that was our preview of both AFC and NFC championship games. We're gonna transfer over here to whatever the hell is going on in Houston. Who wants to start with this
James
mess?
Harden just left.
And thanks. Who wants to start with this Texans team?
Let's start with coach. I feel like that's the easiest solution for them right now.
Okay.
is who do you hire at head coach?
I read something that they were targeting Bieniemy, but I also haven't heard anything else since.
Yeah,
that was
part of me feels like that's just a pity move for Watson.
It very well could be. I have heard a lot that he does not do well in interviews, which is very interesting. But I think regardless, I think you have 2 possible candidates in the AFC Championship game this weekend. 3 if you really want to go crazy. But here are the biggest names I've seen looking around online. So you have Bieniemy, as we know, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator. Also in this game, you have Brian Daboll, Bills' offensive coordinator. Leslie Frazier, Bills' defensive coordinator. A couple other names thrown on, both Ravens coordinators. Don Martindale, their defensive coordinator, and Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator. Josh McDaniels, the Pats' offensive coordinator, if he doesn't want the keys to the empire. Marvin Lewis, former Bengals head coach. Joe Brady, the current Panthers offensive coordinator, former LSU coach. And another one that's been thrown around a little bit more uncommon is Terrell Austin, who is one of the defensive assistants for the Steelers, who a lot of people have been very highly praising his work. And might be another good fit for Deshaun Watson.
Honestly, if I'm a Texans fan, after that whole Bill O'Brien debacle, I want a coach with former head coach experience, and that's Marvin Lewis. That's what I want, or that's what I would want.
Mike, sorry, Mike. I must have. Did you mention Leslie Frazier?
Yes, I did. I threw Leslie Frazier.
I mean,
he was someone who I was going to say.
Former head coach as well.
True. I forgot about his times.
I think
Didn't
there's
go very
3.
well, but
that's true. I think there's 3 names. 4 if Deshaun Watson does stay in Houston. If I'm a Texans fan, here are the people I'm looking at. I think first one, as you know, Justin, you said Marvin Lewis head coaching experience. Yes, he had all of his playoff woes in Cincinnati, but the man stayed very consistent and very good for a long time.
Plus, if you get into the playoffs, we personally have seen from last year Deshaun Watson in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think his playoff woes would continue.
No. Next name, Leslie Frazier. Colin, as you mentioned, former head coach. Big thing, every article that you see his name thrown around is the words calming presence. People love him as a coach and as a defensive coordinator.
You could just see that on the sidelines for the Bills. He's very. I think you don't see much emotion.
Dude is literally pretty. I mean, you could put him and Belichick together, and I don't think you would see any ounce of emotion out of the 17 weeks of the NFL season.
No. And that's something that I think that might be very wanted by them, because you want someone who can really control that locker room, that not a personality like Bill O'Brien. Another thing, Houston defense was terrible this season. So you get a defensive-minded coach, maybe you get some improved defense. If Watson stays, you'd have 2 good systems. The other names I'm looking at, a little bit under the radar, Joe Brady, the Panthers offensive coordinator, I think is a very good name that's been thrown around. A little bit younger, but he did very well this season, getting Mike Davis going, getting some great wide receiver production.
That is a running back or I don't know how to. You can plug any running back into that offense and they'll succeed.
True, but I think a lot of that is coming from him. I think he's a very good option. You know, I think another name thrown around. If Watson stays, Greg Roman, I think, could be an interesting hire. Simply because you saw his system when Lamar was at his best.
They need a running back. David Johnson ain't it.
No, but I'm saying I think when you saw the last year, you saw a very good offense.
Lamar also had one of the best offensive lines last year. Texans have Laramie Tunsil.
Yes.
That's it.
but what I'm saying with Greg Roman, if Deshaun Watson is going to stay, I think he's a good coach for Deshaun Watson. That I think can keep that great potential from Watson and get that offense so that whatever Watson wants as his color, it's built to his system.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's only valuable if Watson stays, but I think if Watson stays, he's a very underrated idea to go with. That if you want an offense for Watson and you want him to be happy, you put him as your head coach.
I'm gonna go out there and say that this is nothing new. This Texans head coaching vacancy is the least desirable position I have seen out of a head coaching job in the past decade. This team is in complete disarray. You're going into 2021 over the cap by 18 mil. You have a seriously unhappy franchise quarterback. You have a franchise defensive end not getting any younger. Has his injury woes and wants to win. You gotta bring in someone that can magically turn this franchise around. I'm not saying to a Super Bowl contender, but I'm saying to a team that nobody wants to run into in the playoffs.
Let's also bring up a couple of the points with that. You have no first-round picks.
No second-round picks.
You're paying how much to your left tackle?
Laramie Tunsil is a $19.4 million cap hit.
Your two top receivers are a guy who is suspended for drugs.
For one more game.
Yep.
True, but I would question how much of his performance was based on the fact he was getting some good stuff from his doctor.
Agreed.
And a guy whose brain is mashed potatoes from getting hit for a couple of years in Brandon Cooks. You've got David Johnson, who did show flashes of his old self, but is not, worth DeAndre Hopkins. And to your point about if J.J. Watt leaves, can you name me a single other defensive starter on the Houston Texans that's a great defensive player?
I mean, not great, but pretty good. Justin Reed, yeah.
Justin Reed, and the only one I think is Zach Cunningham, who's been phenomenal this season, really stepped up. But you have no big stars like you used to have, I think 2 or 3 years ago you had Jadeveon Clowney, who even at his worst still was a big playmaker. You had Whitney Merciless. You had AJ Boy for a couple years. These big guys have left.
I'm looking at these contracts for Houston. This is 2021. Brandon Cooks, $12 million cap hit. Randall Cobb, $10.6 million cap hit. What the hell has Randall Cobb
pays for the Texans
done for the Texans this season?
Let me tell you the stats right now.
Might have to ask Bill O'Brien about that one.
$10.6 million. Diggs is making I think $400K more than Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb for the season, he played 10 games, started 2, 38 out of 48 for receptions, 441 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Brutal. You got David Johnson, $9 million cap hit. Duke Johnson. How much do you see Duke Johnson on the field? $5.15 million. I don't know what the hell Bill O'Brien has done. You're going into the draft, 0 first-round picks, 0 second-round picks, 1 third, 1 fourth, 1 fifth, 2 sixths, and a 7th.
They're gonna lose Will Fuller too. He's a free agent. They're not gonna have any money to bring back.
Not to mention you're gonna lose Will Fuller. So now you're gonna be left paying Randall Cobb $10.6 million and Brandon Cooks $12 million. Brandon Cooks is a very good receiver. $12 million worth? No.
According to this, they
can make more money.
Hang on, Mike. What was that,
Colin? They can cut Brandon Cooks and not have any dead money though.
Yeah, that's what I was looking.
$12 million.
I would be shocked if they do not do that. Another shocker, they could cut J.J. Watt and not have any dead cap. They would save all of that $17.5 million if they cut J.J. Watt.
Could see that happening.
You know, and let's say they're going around asking for a first-round pick. I'm not paying a first-round pick to J.J. Watt. Are you guys?
The only good thing is if you are going to pay for J.J. Watt, certain teams might be willing to give up knowing that he's got one more year before he'll probably sign a lower deal at his age and his injury. If he wants to go to a contender and he's willing to take some cut.
Yeah, but are
maybe
you
a
guys
team-
paying a first-round pick for J.J. Watt?
I mean, it depends what team I am. If I'm
Pittsburgh.
with their pick, maybe. Late 20s, maybe.
Load up on the Watts.
Colin, are you trading a first-round pick for J.J. Watt?
If I were the Bills, no. Another team might be more desperate for edge help. I mean, we are pretty desperate for edge help, but I would not move.
We also don't
first-round
have
pick for-
the cap space for
For
J.J.
30
Watt.
Unless
for
we
a
basically replaced a couple of our
32,
players.
33-year-old.
That you gotta
And-
hope stays healthy.
I mean, I guess
True.
that's a good transition. If you're playing, J.J. Watt, where do you think J.J. Watt goes? He
Green
leaves
Bay.
Houston. Green Bay is an interesting one. Personally, I think you already hit where I think he's going. I think he's going to reunite with his two brothers. I think that's what they say is TJ says, I'll stay long term. My brothers get on contract, and you make that defense the scariest in the league. I think at that same point, you tell Big Ben, hey, you're worth about as much as a 7th-round pick right now. Get your contract out of our face, but
Another thing, 2021 reserve suspended cap, Bradley Roby. 10.2 mil for Bradley Roby. Counting against the Texans. Now, they could cut Bradley Roby and save roughly 8 mil.
I forgot he was even on the Texans.
Yep. The Texans, they're not completely out of the water. They're no saints when it comes to cap space hell. Over 18 mil is very doable, especially, if you cut Duke Johnson, you save 5 mil. Cut Bradley Roby, you save 8 mil. Brandon Cooks, 12 mil. What I just think is dooming the Texans is the lack of picks.
Yep.
Um,
Not to mention what I think the big thing too. No one wants to play and coach for that team.
no.
And I mean,
You're going to walk into the most dysfunctional locker room ever.
and that's the thing. Like, you look at where people are willing to play. How many guys have we seen your veterans go, oh, I want a ring. I'll go to New England, Kansas City, Green Bay, team like that. That's not Houston. You look at someone say, I'll go to the New York market, the LA market, Florida, because there's no taxes, even though Texas has the same thing. I'd rather go to the Cowboys. I'll deal with Jerry Jones if I want that no tax money.
I'll pass on that.
Versus the Texans, I'll take Jerry Jones. But you look at, your other teams where people want to go. You got people coming to the Bills because they like the culture. You got people willing to play, for more respected coaches. People like Brian Flores down in Miami. You got a lot of respect for Belichick. Respect for Andy Reid. You got these, these established coaches that people want to play for. You don't have that in Houston. Let's remember, how long ago did they fire Bill O'Brien? They still don't have a coach. The Eagles fired their coach what, 2 weeks ago, and they got a coach already?
Yep.
And that's a dysfunctional situation too, and they still got someone.
All right. Enough of the boring talk. Let's talk about speculation. Everyone's favorite thing to do. Where's Deshaun Watson going?
Colin, you start.
I start. I think he joins our division, whether it's the Jets or the Dolphins.
Or the Patriots.
I don't see the
I don't
Patriots
see the
doing
Patriots
that.
doing that.
I don't really either, but they got a lot of cap and they could use a QB.
I know he's a fan of Robert Saleh, but I also know Robert Saleh just gave a lot of pumping the tires of Sam Darnold today. that could just be smokescreen.
It could
I
be
think he
smokescreen. Do I think it's smokescreen? 100%.
I think he comes to AFC East. If he gets traded to Dolphins, they gotta give up number 3. I don't think the Jets would trade number 2.
And Tua.
But they have Jets have another
here's the thing,
first.
though. Report just came out. The Texans don't like Tua.
Well,
They have like no interest in
I
Tua.
mean, I would move Darnold and 2 firsts for Deshaun Watson. Plus,
I would too.
I mean,
probably gonna have to throw in a
read a
third round
report
pick in
that-
there as well.
a lot of executives think that he's worth 4 first-round picks. Which
I'm
is a
never
lot
gonna
to
give
give
up
up.
that
but
kind of. I'm never gonna give up that much, but
I mean, I wouldn't either.
franchise
But
quarterback.
there's 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league, or 2 or 3 players in the league. I might give up 4 firsts for, but I would not include Deshaun Watson.
dark
would-
horse team, for me, is, believe it or not, the Carolina Panthers.
I was gonna say them as well.
Yeah, obviously Teddy Bridgewater, not it. Very good bridge quarterback. Very good bridge quarterback.
Huh. Would you say he's a good Bridgewater quarterback?
I hate you. Shut up.
Outside of the
Um,
AFC East,
Yeah, outside of the AFC East, I think if he doesn't stay in Houston, there's no way he doesn't become a member of the AFC East.
It's a
But
very good bet.
I think another team to look out for is the Bears.
The Bears resurrecting.
They
or-
don't have much money though.
Rectify their past mistakes.
Yep. Get
And
rid of their
acquire-
past mistakes.
Deshaun Watson.
You put Deshaun Watson on that Bears team, watch out, man. That defense can carry.
So, I got 5 teams I see him going to.
Oh my goodness.
First one we already mentioned, the Miami Dolphins. He likes Miami. We already know that. They have the assets to give up. I think that's a good spot. Number 2, just because of the news this week, Indianapolis Colts. They got cap space, and if they get Deshaun Watson, that's a Super Bowl contender right there. Team number 3, the 49ers. Very popular with a lot of the players. He's thrown some interest of going to the 49ers with George Kittle. They don't have as much money, but I think that's an option. Team number 4, the Denver Broncos. A little bit of a hell on their own, but they need to replace Drew Lock because Drew Lock might be the single worst starting quarterback in the league.
Gardner Minshew.
Now that
exists.
John Elway's, I don't know who I'd rather take, but John Elway's also gone as GM. What a bigger splash to make in your first year as GM than to trade for Deshaun Watson. And as you said, number 5, the Panthers. I think you've got Christian McCaffrey, Mike Davis, Deshaun Watson, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. That could be the best offense in the league.
This man just say Robbie Anderson.
Whatever.
Yeah, he did.
I believe it's Robbie Anderson.
Robbie.
Another really, really dark horse team that I just cannot see this happening. The Titans.
No way. Ryan Tannehill is a great quarterback.
Dude, I would take Deshaun Watson any day over
I
Ryan
would too,
Tannehill.
but I don't think they need to do it.
I'm just saying, if they call and their asking price is reasonable, I think the Titans gotta pull the trigger. I don't think it's gonna happen because it's interdivisional.
So he's going to go from one Houston team to another.
Titans are significantly better than Houston.
No, I'm saying because they were the Oilers.
That's a stretch.
Never mind.
All right, here's my dark horse.
Alrighty, let me hear it.
Deshaun Watson. He's going to the football team.
That's what I was going to say as well.
If we're gonna throw in like dark horse after dark horse here,
The Dallas Cowboys.
The Los Angeles Rams.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
I
You know they don't want.
I
you
don't
know
even think
Sean
that they
McVay
can make
doesn't
it
like
happen,
Jared
to be
Goff.
completely honest with you. But or the Raiders. I could. It's a very Mike Mayock thing to do. Do something that he's not even like rumored to do. Like take Cleveland Farrell with the number 4 overall pick.
Let's just name every team in the NFL.
Pretty much, yeah.
Say they're a
I
dark
mean,
horse.
you talk about crazy moves. Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay Dak Prescott. He'll pay Deshaun Watson.
That's
I mean, it's not. It's probably won't happen. But
that is a discussion for a free agency episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think my dark horse, Colin. I think you make a good point with the football team. Help
I
that
like the
team kind
football
of shape
team.
their
Deshaun Watson
whole
landing
name
spot.
identity. I'm still,
Name redacted.
yeah, still. If I'm putting money on a single dark horse, give me Bill Belichick. They
Fair.
got a ton of money. Dark horse, if I had to put a bet, they've got the cap. They need a new quarterback. He would work wonders with Bill. You know, you could see another dynasty up in there.
You know,
And if you're looking at
speaking of
Deshaun Watson
Belichick
saying,
and the Patriots,
any new ring on my finger?
speaking of Belichick and the Patriots, J.J. Watt and the Patriots.
Definitely, they got the money to make a move.
They got the money to make a move on whoever the fuck they want to make a move on.
I mean, and that's the thing about J.J. Watt. You know, I was looking at where could J.J. Watt go. A lot of teams could use help at defensive end.
He's gonna go to a team
You know,
that wants to win, or that's going to
He
win.
does, and that's why I think Steelers are a good bet.
Depends.
If the Bills
I
could
mean,
find a
they
way to
just
get him.
signed Dwayne Haskins. If that's their plan for future quarterback, I don't really know how successful that team's gonna be. Yet, honestly, that team with Dwayne Haskins is going to remind me of rookie Josh Allen. No, not rookie, second year Allen, and that defense just carrying us to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bills could get him, I would love it. If we could somehow make that work, I don't think it's going to happen, but you know.
You guys got anything else to throw onto this Houston thing before we wrap things up with Mike's hot take of the week?
I mean,
we
if we're
pretty much
really going to
covered it
talk
all.
J.J. Watt, you know, if you're talking crazy scenarios, maybe like line him up with Myles Garrett in Cleveland.
Oh my God, that would be
If-
insanity.
If they're really thinking about maybe moving on from Odell,
Okay, that's crazy. That would be wild. That would be wild.
you know, I was looking at a couple
Best-
of spots like that. I
easily
mean, that's
Best 1-2 punch on D-end in the league, and it's not even close.
you're looking at other teams like that. Ravens, that defense, you know, a lot of older guys. If they
Yep.
just want to start cutting
Mhm.
some cap space, he could make a fit there. Another
Yo,
one
how about-
really under the radar, Miami. Miami's got
How
that
about-
money.
How about reuniting with D-Hop again?
Oh,
Arizona.
him
That's
and
another good
Chandler
one.
Jones
They-
would be happy. That'd be spicy.
They got the money. I think Miami too. That's one I was looking at earlier. You know how they already spend the most on their defense. Why not spend J.J. Watt? You know, you really don't need many
I can
other
see it.
pieces. But I like Arizona. That's another one.
Alrighty. Well, we
Maybe
covered
Tennessee. Learn from their mistakes of signing Clowney and Beasley.
All right. Well, we've covered both AFC, NFC championship games, gave our predictions, did whatever we wanted to do with those games, gave our insight. We shifted over to the drama going on in Houston. Whatever you want to call it is happening going on in Houston. I don't even know if there's a correct word or term to phrase what's going on in Houston.
Stars fleeing the city.
Yeah. So that leaves us with one more segment for tonight, and that is Mike's hot take of the week. Mike, what do you got for us? I'm sure this is going to be a good one.
I'm going to hit you with two hot takes because
Oh.
it's conference championship weekend.
Okay.
You got to have two big ones.
Alrighty.
Hot take number one, there is going to be multiple quarterback receiving touchdowns in the conference championship.
Wow.
I like that one.
Wow.
I can tell you right now, my guess is Josh Allen and Tom Brady.
Wow. I
Hot
like
take.
that one a lot. I'm not even gonna argue that one. I want that to happen.
Hot take number 2, we talked about it a little bit earlier. The single worst QB performance of the championships, maybe even the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers against the Bucks. Just utter stinker again. If Chad Henne plays, Chad Henne's going to do better.
Wow.
If Matt Barkley comes in, Matt Barkley will play
Holy
better.
cow.
And
Oh
let me tell
my
you the
gosh.
biggest reason I see it. There is so much hype around that game. I think it's the perfect scenario. If someone wrote the NFL as a story, what better story than the guy who's the reigning MVP, looks the hottest in the world right now, and comes in and puts up like a 4
I
pick,
can
not
tell
even a 100-yard
you
game.
why you have that, and that is because you hate Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers, as much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers is a very good quarterback. But he doesn't play well in a conference championship, and I don't think I've seen a game as bad from him as he did against Tampa Bay in a long time. I think you saw Brady flip the script last week. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to flip it this week. Even if he has a decent game, I just don't think he's going to be this great quarterback. I think he will. Yeah, I think he will have. If Mahomes plays, I think he will have the worst week of the 4 starters this week.
Colin, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I'm good on my end.
That is bizarre.
Any hot takes from you, gentlemen?
Listen,
Already had
man,
mine for the day.
the segment is Mike's hot takes. I'm just here to argue them.
Listen, it might be my hot takes, but everyone can join in a hot take.
I'll think of one. I'll think of one for next week. Hopefully, talking about Bills in the Super Bowl.
All right, I got one more just because I can't make it next week.
A bonus hot take.
The Madden Pro Bowl will be more entertaining than any Pro Bowl in the past couple years.
Okay, that's not really. I don't know how much of a hot take that is.
I thought this kid was going to say the Super Bowl.
That's...
I was about to just log off.
No, I think everyone's making fun of the fact that it's going to be a Madden. People are annoyed because you're not adding other players in, to give their shot. For some reason, I think it's going to be this goofball fun thing. It reminded me of the Nickelodeon playoff game. I think people are really going to like it. I don't think they're going to stick with it, but I think it's going to be much more entertaining than Pro Bowls have passed. Just the game, because the whole competition thing is hilarious, and I love that.
I could see it.
But I think we're with the Nickelodeon playoffs and the Madden Pro Bowl. I think we're gonna have an off season full of jokes, and I'm here for it.
I hope you're right. Well, that wraps up episode 1. From us over here at Hot Takes Buffalo. Please leave feedback down below, what you agree with, don't agree with, what you change, segment ideas. Drop a like, share with your friends on social media, get the word out that you got 3 buffoons from Buffalo, New York trying to start a podcast. Subscribe to us. The goal is to get one out every week. Follow us on Twitter at Buffalo Takes, at BuffaloTakes. If you boys don't have anything else to add,
I would just throw in there, say next week, obviously we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, but anything else people might want to, see, obviously big news, but any other fun topics that people might think are interesting, throw them as a suggestion.
Maybe if it's a very down week in the NFL, no head coach hirings, no surprise cuts, any of that stuff, maybe we'll dabble into the world of hockey. Colin's expertise.
Maybe talk a little bit about some basketball.
That's when you'll hear more from me.
And maybe a couple Pink Whitney shots less.
Yeah, that might help the issue.
All right, well, this is us over here, Hot Takes Buffalo, saying have a great weekend. Go Bills. Fuck Tom Brady. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Go Bills.
Au revoir.